as one they fear. In their tongue, he is Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
Skyrim, my first RPG I ever played. Started replaying it recently. I got hooked, bro. Took one whiff of Todd Howard's farts and now I'm amped up, dude. I got the shakes right now because instead of making this video, I want to fucking play. I want to play more. I gotta do quests. I gotta collect resources. I gotta make better armor. There's so many caves to explore. There's so many locations I gotta find. I gotta get back to it. But we gotta make a little pit stop and make this video first. Got some graphical mods. Didn't change the actual game because a lot of people said the actual game sucks now. It was never good. It was trash. Should have been aborted.
That ain't it, bro.
But obviously, as I've stated probably like 20,000 times already in this video, I do not agree with these takes. I agree with some of their points, but overall, I think Skyrim is still a good to great game that has a lot to offer. Is it the masterpiece that the critics hyped it up to be back in 2011?
Fuck no, baby!
But it's still a damn fine game. It's just the things they are right about the plot, most of the quest lines, average at best. Some are just kind of bad. I think the quest design isn't horrible though. And the combat. If you're playing an archer, congratulations. The combat is sensational. If you're playing a melee character, like how I like to play, because I like to actually stare my enemy in the eye when I take their life from them, then there's not a whole lot of depth. It's pretty shallow. Now for me, I don't really care as much in this kind of RPG, not why I play Skyrim, and it's serviceable enough to fit my needs. There's some flashy killing animations, and I kind of like a game where I can turn the brain off a little bit and just hack away. If you want to play an RPG with fun yet deep combat mechanics, can you show me that game? I need to play it.
I can't believe this dude!
Okay, so story whack, gameplay whack. Stutter, man, it sounds like this game sucks complete butthole, but you would be wrong. Because I think this game is a perfect example of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And if you don't know what that means, essentially what I'm saying is, some of the stuff may not be the best, but combined with the rest of the mechanics of the game, it creates something fantastic. And I also think part of it, this game is old, it's from 2011. Some stuff's not going to hold up. And I think some people go into this game, they hear great things about it, and they go into it expecting something that it isn't. Because at the end of the day, Skyrim, at its core, is made to be a sandbox for you, for your character, for your story. And this game is an extreme example of what you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it. And that's when I started to understand my Skyrim addiction. So I thought the best way to illustrate what I mean is through an example from my own playthrough, where my spell sword orc Krogash, yes I got his name off a name generator, and my buddy Faendal, we're doing some work for a Redguard woman. We had to travel to a cave west of Whiterun. But on the way, I found another cave that I wanted to stop into because I wanted to explore Skyrim a little bit. And what I expected was just a small little cave, maybe a couple bears in there to kill. But instead, I got this really pretty grotto to explore, filled with Spriggans and Saver Cats that introduced their paws straight to my anus. And I was having a great time just exploring. It was a bigger cave than I thought it would be. But then I came across a shrine of Talos with a note and a sword near it. And this note was written by Bolar, one of the last remaining blades, pretty much the secret service of the Empire. They were hunted down and wiped out not too long ago by the goddamn high elves. I hate the goddamn high elves. And this was his final place of resting where he left his blade. And in the letter, right next to the blade, he says he hopes whoever finds it is worthy enough to wield it with justice. So of course I took it. Also it looks cool, it's like a katana. But since I believe in stereotypes, my orc was using a mace for this whole time. I even enchanted it to capture souls of my enemies. So I just stowed the sword away and kept playing for a couple hours until I fought this incredible looking dragon thanks to some graphical mods I got. And while fighting him, he lets out a roar and my mace goes flying all the way to goddamn Jupiter. I couldn't find it. And in the heat of battle, I had only one-handed weapon left, Bolar's blade. I unsheathed it and took this dragon down badass style in the memory of Bolar. And since then, it's been my main weapon. I wield it in justice in the memory of this honorable blade that I haven't even met. It was in an optional cave that I just wanted to explore. And that's what makes Skyrim so special. Because if you play a game like Mass Effect, fantastic game by the way, but that RPG, it's set around the story, while Skyrim is set around the player. Whenever you ask your friend, oh, how's your Skyrim playthrough going? They'll tell you about this crazy adventure they went on. And then when you ask about Mass Effect, yeah, there could be some crazy shit in there, but a lot of it is what's scripted in the game, and you're just comparing what choices you made, rather than whole different gameplay stories that you created yourself. And I like both of these philosophies of game design. It's just, if I want to play a game solely for the plot, solely for an engrossing story, I'll go play Mass Effect. When I want to make my own story, just chill out, have a nice vibe, and write my own destiny, then I'll play Skyrim. And the quest design is so genius, because for a lot of the quests, especially the main quests, you're going all over the map, and you could fast travel, you could take a carriage there if you're lame, but what the game really wants you to do is go on foot, grab your horse, grab a companion, and go on an adventure on the way to your destination. But what is the point of adventuring if not to become the best version of yourself? The allure of Skyrim to become more powerful, more rich, to dominate your enemies keeps me coming back.
I love the game. I love the hustle, man.
Seeing your build starting to come to fruition as you adventure, and as you just play the game, your stats go up. It's intoxicating. Yes, the RPG mechanics are simple, but I think they're done in a good way. And I think it's fun to level up your character because every perk gives you something powerful in this. It may not be as in-depth as Oblivion or Morrowind, but the power gained as you play, it cannot be understated. Take Cyberpunk 2077 for example, they also have a perk system. And while I like that system, I think the perks aren't powerful enough. You get like a 2% increase, then a 6%, then a 10% increase in damage for certain weapons, when in Skyrim, right off the bat, they're like, you're doing 20% more, 40% more, 60% more. Reduce stamina on power attacks by 50%. Armor buffs of 20%, 40%. It all feels like a giant leap forward instead of just a small step forward. So instead of being like, oh look, I leveled up, you're like, okay, I can now smite my enemies in even more horrific ways and become the most powerful being to walk all of Tamriel. And it's so fun to customize the build that you thought of yourself and see it come to fruition on the way to becoming a stealth archer by the end. So becoming powerful through perks is cool, you know, actual stats. But going on adventures to get material things because I'm a greedy bastard, it's also so satisfying in this game because the loot system I think is done so well. I didn't really realize at first, but the way dungeons work, you find a bunch of the loot during the journey through the dungeon. It's not all just in one chest at the end. There is cool chests at the end with cool rewards. But like this game, it's all about the small things adding up to make something meaningful. On its own, finding 5 gold pieces one time isn't a big celebration, but finding 5 gold pieces at least 10 times throughout a dungeon with minor health potions, oh and look, that's a dwarven war axe and now I have some orcish gauntlets, then it starts to add up. Plus when you kill enemies, they almost always have something useful. Most bandits drop gold, some enemies will drop special weapons that make easy money sold to the right vendor. So even when you don't find exactly what you want, you can find things that you can sell later to help you buy what you want. It's capitalism at its finest, and it's so beautiful. Plus, there's no gear rarity in this. Thank God, I hate systems like that in RPGs. Steel swords do all the same damage unless they're enchanted or are unique. And there's a clear path of progression for gear types, so you know that you're always getting better and on the right path, instead of playing the guessing game where it's like, well, this sword's purple, but it doesn't look as cool as this sword that's blue, but the purple sword does more damage. Man, I ain't talking about the crafting yet. I love being able to interact with the world, find things, create my own little side missions for what resources I need to take that next leap with my character. Trying to find iron ore to transmute it into silver and then gold ore to make 20,000 gold rings to drive Bellathor out of business so I can get my smithing up 5 levels. It was just an addictive goal for me and my character. I don't even do alchemy, but there's so many potion combinations, enchanting weapons, finding out what you like. There's so many options for playstyle here, beyond just the RPG elements. And I think my favorite part of going beyond the RPG elements is creating my own little backstory for my character, thinking of the build beforehand, thinking of how they get to Skyrim, and creating my own goals and motivations for this character. The lore is so rich in this universe, the character is such a perfect blank slate for you to slide all of your ideas onto and just make a character that you connect to because you created them. You know, for example, I'll bring up Mass Effect again. Mass Effect, you play as Commander Shepard. He's a character stand-in, he has his own personality, his own backstory that you get to choose from. But at the end of the day, he's Commander Shepard. Every time you boot up Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, you are playing as Commander Shepard. You have to play as Commander Shepard. Every time you boot up Skyrim, you can play as anybody you can think of. And I'm not saying character stand-ins are a bad thing, it's different strokes for different folks.
Pause, man. Damn, man.
But the little D&D nerd in me loves creating my own characters to exist in this rich Elder Scrolls universe. And this leads us into what I think is the final piece of the puzzle for me. While the story may not be well written, the lore and dedication that went into creating Skyrim as a world is, dare I say, second to none in gaming. And Bethesda's main tool that they utilize from the RPG toolbox is the little details. And it makes Skyrim feel like such a cozy place to return to whenever you do start up a new playthrough. The small moments of just walking somewhere with Jeremy Soul's 10 out of 10 might be the best soundtrack I've ever heard playing in the background. Entering a tavern in a new city for the first time, seeing the environment, seeing different items placed meticulously that tell a story on its own. Looking out to the horizon, seeing a dragon fly across the countryside. While the graphics may not be the best, the art direction still holds up to this day, and with the right graphical mods like I use, this game can look stunning. Each optional location usually has a story to tell on its own that a developer put there for the player to discover. It makes every place feel unique, even if it's just a different cave on a different side of Skyrim. There's something important going on there. Finding quests around every corner, couriers coming to seek you out with letters from important people across Skyrim that need your services. All of these little details add up to create a world that just feels alive and that feels like you impact it. Now, since this game is from 2011, if you actually do impact a lot of things in this game, that's up for debate. But the feel, the vibe cannot be rivaled. So everything I've talked about, they add up. Is this game a 10 out of 10 masterpiece? No, are you crazy? I already told you it wasn't. But it's far, very far from being a bad video game. I would say it's a great one that could have done some things better, but you add those mediocre things onto what this game does so well and you get a game worthy of praise. And I didn't even mention actual gameplay overhaul mods that actually make this game a 10 out of 10. I ain't even mentioned Enderall in this video yet, and that deserves a video on its own because that game, yes, game, it's more than a mod, it's a fucking game. It's so fantastic. Even if you can't get behind the actual game, you can't deny the absolutely invaluable tool that Bethesda has given modders and other creative people all over the world to work with to create stories on their own. Because what I think Skyrim does best is it inspires the imagination within its players to go out and create something that is their own, that is unique, and that means something to them. And if you don't see the value in imagination, then you clearly don't get to the Cloud District very often. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Hope you have a great week. Oh my God, who even did that? God damn, I just took an arrow to the knee.